Save Yourself Part 2. What we're going to talk about is generational curses and how they come about and how we keep them going. Little bit about myself. I'm firstborn generation in this country, America. My parents come from the Caribbean. Something that I noticed growing up is that immigrants do have it a bit tougher in this country, but at the same time, they look down upon people who were born here, and that goes doubly for my family. Let me explain. I can't really speak on everybody else's situation. I can only speak on mine, but I've seen that this is something that happens more often than not, especially with immigrant families, more black immigrant families than anything else, especially the Caribbean. You can't really say much about the Africans because they move a bit different than Caribbeans do. So my uncles, the two younger ones, I have three, came to America when I was around 10. And we were cool, everything was fine. You know, they are both older than me, one being 11 years older than me, the other one being 16 years older than me, and my third uncle is about 30 years older than me. So my mother and my uncle both came here years before I got here. I mean, they were already going through college when I was born. Both of them. They completed college and whatever other higher education that they decided to take on, and they've been here. I know a lot of people would say the biggest thing about coming to America is the language barrier. And I'm here to debunk that right now. That's bullshit. Because most other countries teach English. Because most other countries deal with English-speaking people. In terms of tourists, businessmen, other type of professions, they speak English. So language isn't the issue. It's just a few ignorant people in America who can't seem to listen past an accent. So don't say it's the language barrier. No, it's just you're dealing with some ignorant people who would rather hear the accent than hear the actual words coming out your mouth. As I progress in life, and when I was younger, when I was 10, 11, I'd hang out with them a lot. I was in elementary going into junior high, and they started high school. Back then, in the late 90s, early 2000s, it was still a big, huge thing in terms of being an immigrant in school. You get picked on a lot, even if you was from here. The fact that they knew that you was from one of these quote-unquote third world shithole countries, which I'm from. Well, not from, but my parents are from. You would get picked on a lot. So a lot of people would be embarrassed to say that they were from these countries, or you would have to fight every day to prove that you wasn't no punk. For me, it was the latter. Fought every goddamn day. But as I got older, I started to realize that my family specifically did not want to really help me in terms of direction or life education. School's there to teach you about numbers and prepare you for factory work, but your family is supposed to teach you and prepare you for life. When you're young, you don't really see things. As you get older, you start to realize, oh wow, these people really weren't shit. So the older I got, the more they started to leave me. When I say leave me, I was already a latchkey kid, so I was already home alone a lot. But as far as life education, I didn't know much about the world. Yes, I'm from this country. Yes, I have friends, but friends are my age. We know the same things. We hang out all the time. We go to the same school. We're in the classes all day. We know what we know because we all are doing the same thing. We go home, we watch TV, we go to sleep, we go back to school, we talk about what we talk about, which is what we watched on TV last night. We learn for the day, and then we repeat the cycle, but we don't really learn anything about life per se. So around the age of 16, I really started to understand that my family does not have my back in anything. If anybody would say anything about me, it was automatically believed. If I tried to do something, I would get beat. Let's say I wanted to learn how this toy worked. So I took it apart so I could see what the innards looked like. So I could see what the wires were doing. I could see how this lit up, and I would get my ass beat. They tried to stifle my growth. And it never dawned on me why they were doing these things. It wasn't until I became independent at the age of 17 where I saw, wow, you're purposely holding me back. You're jealous of me. And you might have heard these few key words that I'm about to say. So, trigger warning. A lot of the times, especially after I turned 18, going into maybe between the ages of 18 and 21, they would say things like, why are you not further in life? Why are you not doing this or doing that? You were born here. You were born here. Therefore, you have the advantage. You know how to speak the language. Therefore, you have an advantage. And it was that same mindset that was making them hold me back. In their mind, I don't need any more advantages over them. It wasn't a each one teach one type environment. It was crabs in the barrel. And this is my own family. Forget strangers who barely know me. I expect that from them because it's dog eat dog out here. But for my own family, doing things like holding me back or trying to hold me back in school when they wanted to skip me a couple grades. Doing things like beating me when I was just trying to be curious. Crazy part is, I ended up becoming a technician later on in life. It started when I was young. I could have been a lot further if I was encouraged to continue along that path. I ended up doing it on my own. See, it will be the own people that you think is for you that are against you, which is why you have to save yourself. Especially you, black man. You have to save yourself. That whole mentality of you was born here so you have an advantage, that's our advantage, not my advantage. Because when you need my help with something, you won't hesitate to ask, and you not only ask, you demand and expect it. But yeah, if I need help, you're nowhere to be found. I call you up and say, hey, I'm having an issue. Do you mind walking me through that? You give me some bullshit. Well, the early bird gets the worm. You know, if you have a good head on your shoulders, you'll always find a hat. Yeah, but how does that help me with my specific problem that I'm having? You're older than me. You must have gone through this. Give me some type of direction. No, they won't. You'll have to figure it out on your own. So then it has you sitting there like, So then what is family for? You see, you're there for family, but family isn't there for you. Does this sound familiar to you? That they expect you to just make it on your own, or you should make it because you were here, as if the same obstacles that they face on a daily basis isn't the same obstacles that you face on a daily basis. And as a family, as kin, as people who share the same blood as you would think that they would come not to your rescue, but to your assistance. Because when they needed your assistance, you was there. You see, once I started to branch off and do my own thing and make all my mistakes, I began to learn that if I had some type of family structure, a lot of these things that I went through in life would have been eliminated. But at the same time, the greatest gift that my family ever gave me was absolutely nothing. Because now that I'm building my own, and now that I have my own, they can't come and take that from me. Because even if I lose it, and I've lost a lot of shit, but I've always gained it back. Twice. Better. You see, they can't tell me that what I'm doing is wrong because I went and I did it on my own. You see, they'll tell you every single day, oh, you should be doing better. Why aren't you further in life? And that's all a ploy. What they're really saying is, why aren't you doing more for me? Why aren't you making money so I can use that? Because for some reason, and this happens a lot to first generation, I know a lot of first generation people, the first generation kid is the translator, is the liaison for the family. And they want to say things like, well, it's the language barrier. It's because this, no. It's because they see you as a utility. They don't see you as a person. And a lot of us will get brainwashed and be like, yeah, well, it's our responsibility. No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not. It's their responsibility as an adult to learn how to read. It's their responsibility as an adult to learn the language. They learned how to make money here, so they can't learn how to do other stuff too. When you become an adult, you realize you don't owe these motherfuckers a goddamn thing. So what if they raised you? You didn't ask to be here. You didn't ask to be born. You didn't ask to be pushed out. It was their responsibility to raise you. It wasn't a privilege to be raised by them. We have to change this way of thinking, because at the end of the day, you got to save yourself. This is how we continue generational curses, because we have this we can't help ourselves mentality. So it's everyone on their own, everyone for themselves, instead of each one teach one. The next one grab the hand of the other one and pull them up. We'd rather be crabs in the barrel. And as soon as one starts to come up and start to see the light, you're just going to pull them down. I've noticed this throughout my entire family, that if I had big dreams, or if I wanted to do something way out of the ordinary, not work a regular 9 to 5, I would just get met with negativity. Oh, you think you could do that? You ain't good enough to do that. You ain't got enough money to do that. Or if they don't say it in a direct way like that, they'll say it in an indirect way, as it, oh, you think that's gonna be easy? Or you think it's just that simple? You see, all this negative thinking, all this negativity that I've received, I know I'm not the only one. I've had conversation with friends. I know I'm not the only one. So if any of this hits you, if any of this sounds familiar to you, I'm going to say something that may not sit well, because you've been brainwashed. Just because they family don't mean they for you. You're going to have to cut them off. I've literally cut off every single person in my family except for the woman that raised me. And even then, I don't really associate with her like that because she'll go ahead and tell everybody else my business. And I don't need nobody plotting on doing something to me because they're jealous of what I've accomplished in life and what they couldn't because they thought that I would come and save them. And first generation, don't be the safety net. Don't be that guy who's the savior for the entire family. Don't do it. Don't do it. Because you give and it'll never be enough, and they'll resent you for it because they'll want more and you won't have it. Then when you go broke or when something happens and you can't be there for them because you have to prioritize things, they're going to look at you like you ain't shit and demonize you because you did not put them first. They'll always say, well, we're family, we're family, we're family. But then when you need something, where's the family? I was always, and I still am, a big believer and advocate for family are the people that you were born with, but your friends are the family that you choose. So choose carefully. Just because we share the same blood don't mean we people, if you know what I mean. So discern properly and test them. I've tested every single one that I've cut off before I cut them off. And if they flaked on me, if they prioritize something else or someone else ahead of me, if they've done something that I just felt that was disrespectful or showed me that just this didn't value me, then that's it. They no longer have access to me. I'll see you at your funeral. Yeah, that's cool, but that's what you gotta be. Because at the end of the day, when you test them, they'll show you that they won't be there for you. And that, in turn, will destroy you. Because here you are trying to be the best family member you can possibly be to them, and they turn around and shit on you, or they're just jealous of you. Some of them will sabotage you. They will sabotage you. So be careful who you tell your dreams to. Be careful who you open up to. Just because they family don't mean they for you. Save yourself. That's the only person you got at the end of the day, is yourself.